Hi, my name is Carissa Laffey, and today I'm going to be showing you an activity that will help you utilize the fresh and saltwater wetlands of the Bolivar Habitat Preserve. Gyotaku is an activity that's best done with grades kindergarten through 2nd grade, and it's also best done in the wintertime. For Gyotaku, you will need a local catch of fish and prawns from the nearby fish market. They can be fresh or freshly thawed. Today I only have a plastic fish specimen. Then you will need 2 sheets of rice paper per student, tempera paints or colored ink, paintbrushes to coat your specimen, newspaper to place your specimens on before and after painting, and also a small bucket to handle your dirty brushes with. Gyotaku is an activity that you should reserve for outside. It can be done on the dock by the freshwater pond, or you can use the picnic tables by the garden. You can also do Gyotaku in the classroom, but your students might be overwhelmed by the smell of the fish.
According to legend, the ancient samurai, skilled warriors in the service of their Japanese emperors, were given many tasks to prove their abilities as capable defenders of the empire. Among these tasks was a journey into the wilderness with nothing more than rice paper, ink, and the will to survive 1 month entirely alone amid the natural world. The samurai hunted and fished for their meals with bare hands. No knives, spears, fishing poles, or any other tools were permitted. How great and honorable were they upon returning to court after 30 days, well nourished, unscathed, and alive. To prove their skill in fishing, samurai caught their fish by hand and painted them with sumi, or black ink. Rice paper was placed over the ink specimens to print and record their true size. This printing technique is known as Gyotaku. It became very popular among Japanese artists and remains today as a revered art form. After printing the fish, many artists have detailed the fins, scales, gills, and eyes with contrasting colors for a more interesting composition.
First, notice that the rice paper has 2 distinctive sides. One side is shiny and slick. This is the dry side, or is the side upon which paint or ink will not spread easily. The other side of the rice paper is fuzzy and textured. This is called the wet side, and it is the side upon which the paint or ink will spread beyond the shape being printed. So you have a choice. Will you choose to have your print bleed out and appear wet, or will you choose a dry print that is crisp and well defined? Try 2 sheets of rice paper and use the alternate sides to determine which print you prefer. First, lay your fish specimen out on the newspaper. Use a broad paintbrush to brush on or paint the ink onto the body of the fish. With real fish, it's important to be brushing from head to tail, and that will help you keep from pulling the scales off. With my plastic fish, however, I don't have to worry which direction my paintbrush is going. With your ink or paint, you can also decide to choose different colors to highlight the different parts of the body, whether it's the head and the rest of the body, or using a different color for each of the fins. Gently place the rice paper over the painted specimen. Now firmly press down on all the surfaces of the paper that are covering the fish from the head to the tail. Gently peel the rice paper starting from the head of the fish to the tail. Now you can admire your print. You can also start to enhance some of the features that did not translate well from the print, like the eyes or even the gills. Gyotaku teaches your students to be respectful of the natural world around them. They're also going to increase their skills in painting, and they're going to relish in the opportunity to be able to handle a fish and see one up close. Some of your students might find it challenging to use a real dead fish specimen for Gyotaku. In that case, you can also order a rubber fish to use for printing instead. But if you don't have a rubber fish, you can use this as a teachable moment. Tell your students that sometimes when you have to study an animal, you have to use a dead specimen. Direct their attention to the wonderful external features of the fish, like their big eyes, their nares, their barbels, maybe even their lateral line, or the lines that are on their fins. All of these wonderful features will give you clues as to what kind of life that fish led. Gyotaku can easily be adapted for older students. You can focus more on the anatomy and physiology of the fish, or even use the fish for a dissection after you have finished the printing. You can also encourage your students to make a complete composition by adding in water, or maybe even printing with smaller fish or aquatic plants on the same composition. Close the lesson by reminding your students how different it is today to capture a memory. Today they could just take out their phone and take a picture of the fish that they've caught. Back in the day, we didn't have these means to do that. You can also have your students brainstorm different ways that they can capture a fish that they caught without using a camera. Gyotaku can also turn into a public display of art in your classroom. You can start by cutting out all of the different fish prints and putting them on a bulletin board together. And now you have your own school of fish. If you're looking for more activities to use ink and rice paper with, I encourage you to go look at the Sumi E Contemplating and Recording Nature video.